By 1972, back to DDT. I'll get off the DDT thing in a minute. In 1972, all peregrine falcons east of the Mississippi River were extinct. Dead, gone, over, done. And they stopped using DDT, as I just said. And in the 80s and in the 90s, there were a group of really rich and really talented falconers that said they had peregrine falcons. And they said, you know what, let's try to reintroduce peregrine falcons back into the wild. And what they did was they would put them out to ideal locations on cliffs and other places where you think peregrine falcons would thrive. And what was happening to most of them is at night, the great horned owls that were watching in the woods were like, oh, I'm gonna get you at about 9 o'clock tonight. And the peregrine falcons would be roosting, and the great horned owls would come in and kill them and eat them. And so they sacrificed a whole bunch of peregrine falcons trying to reestablish a native population. And this brilliant falconer got the bright idea, as he said, why don't we release them in New York City? And everybody was like, New York City? What are you, high? You know, and he was like, no, think about it for a sec. He was like, tons of nesting places, no natural predators, and tons of food. Peregrine falcons eat over 300 species of birds, and their favorite dinner is pigeon. So they released peregrine falcons in New York City, and guess what? It worked. It worked. They rule New York City. There's over 50 nesting peregrine falcons in New York City. It's one of the largest concentrations of peregrine falcons in the world. Every single bridge, thank you, every single bridge between Albany and New York City that crosses the Hudson River, the Department of Transportation puts a platform on to encourage these guys to take up residence. Those bridges cost hundreds of millions of dollars, and pigeons poop a lot. Pigeon poop has acid in it. It eats the paint off the bridges, and it also eats the steel itself. If you have a nesting pair of peregrine falcons that would never dream of soiling their nest, they poop off the bridge. If you got a nesting pair of peregrine falcons sleeping on your bridge, well, there's no pigeons anywhere around that bridge. They save millions of dollars. Just like every single skyscraper in New York City that has a nesting pair of peregrine falcons on it, they save millions of dollars a year in cleaning costs trying to get the pigeon poop off their buildings because they eat them all. It's a beautiful thing. This peregrine falcon, actually, as I joke, he has 3 licenses to own me. He actually came, he was born on the Rachel Carson building in Harrisburg, PA. And I had a peregrine falcon that died under surgery at Cornell. And I was teaching a class on rabies at the wildlife conference, and one of my good friends that owns one of the biggest wildlife rescue centers in Pennsylvania and I were at the bar after teaching classes all day, and she's like, turn that frown upside down, what's your problem, Laraway? And I was like, my peregrine falcon died under surgery, and she was like, don't worry, I have 3. She gave me this guy, which is really, 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 really nice of her. But she knew where he was going to be going and what we were going to be doing. And to make a long story longer, he they have a webcam on that nest. Huge Facebook following, like 100,000 people, watching that nest. And during a blizzard, there was an egg sitting in the snow in front of the nest. And everybody's calling a number saying, there's an egg sitting in the snow. And the decision was made by those who can make the decisions that 3 eggs underneath the hen was more important than 1 egg in the snow. And they didn't want to take a chance during a blizzard of opening the window on the skyscraper to put the other egg in there, thinking that she might not come back and all 4 would perish. So they said, we're going to just let nature take its course and we're going to go with it. And after 8 hours of laying in the snow, you would think the egg would be frozen. She realized the egg was sitting there, and she reached out and she pulled it in underneath her. Nobody thought it would hatch. It hatched, it was him. It hatched, it was him. And his code name, you know how much I hate this, is Blue. Because his leg band, which I cut off, was blue. So Blue had a blue leg band, and Blue was jumping up and down on top of the skyscraper going, let's go, come on, do them pigeons, you're about to die. And he jumps off the skyscraper, and he's flying around like a little fighter jet, and he just ran out of steam for like no reason. There's a group of old ladies. They've all come to Middleburg to visit him, and I've taken them out to dinner. These old ladies sit in lawn chairs with binoculars, and they watch that nest 24 hours a day for 2 weeks when they're fledgling to make sure that these little peregrine falcons don't get into any trouble. I love them. I just had tears in my eyes talking about them. I love these old ladies. So Blue jumps off the building, he crashes. They go scurrying over there, they get Blue, they take him to the vet, nothing's broken, they take him back up on the skyscraper, they stick him through the window back in the nest. His mom and dad were like, what the hell are you doing here? And he said, feed me, feed me, feed me, and then about 2 days later he jumps off the building again, and everybody's like, oh, there he goes. And he's flying around and he crashed. Take him for a vet exam, nothing's broken, what the hell's his deal? They take him back, they put him in the window, the whole thing. Third time was not a charm. He jumps off the building, does the same exact thing. They took him to Penn State. It's a Pennsylvania thing, they don't like Cornell. So they take him to Penn State, and this really talented guy at Penn State figures out that he's got a liver 1/3 the size of a normal peregrine falcon liver. I don't know how big, somebody asked me earlier, how big is a normal peregrine falcon liver? And I'm like, I don't know. And that's why his metabolism's all messed up. And that's why if he's not eating pretty much all the time, he crashes. And so he would never be able to survive in the wild. And I joke that some of these birds I've had for 20 years, there's no love there. He's a male, you can tell by the plumage. And most of these birds, even the ones I've had 20 years, there's no love there. They look at me as, here comes the guy with food. This guy is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs over Wes Laraway. And I am Wes Laraway. And I love him, and we have a love-love relationship, and I think he is the coolest bird that I've ever owned, and I would jump in front of the car for this bird. He's like, where's the food? He's like, you got food? And he hears my voice if I'm talking to college students or interns around our facility, and he hears my voice, he goes cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, so to speak, to get to me. Peregrine falcons, amazing comeback story after everything that we did to birds of prey for decades.